Kia ora hoa. Today's topic is Maori people and the Treaty of Waitangi, which has significant importance in making of New Zealand that we know today. But first, I want to give you an insight into Maori's cultural and social structure. Maoris are indigenous Polynesian people of mainland New Zealand, who generally called Tagata Vanua, people of the land. Their earliest settlement dates from 1300s, after their migration from probably Taiwan, according to the evidence. They were known as Moa hunters, and from there, they developed an advanced and distinctive culture. A religion that has connected roots to other Polynesian ones, and a tribal system formed around Vanua, families, and Iwi, tribes that is a combination of Vanus. They also have a simple caste system containing a ruling class, commoners, and slaves. And in this caste system, a group has a special value, tohunga, artists and craftsmen of any kind. Well, yes, you heard right. Maoris, even though had known as warriors, they were also had known for their incredible weaving, carving, and especially performing arts. The video you have watched belongs to the New Zealand rugby team All Blacks, who obtained great recognition by making it a tradition to perform haka before their match. Not only by their arts that seem interesting to even today, but also with their worldviews as a society that accepts all kinds of identity expressions under an umbrella term, takatapui, which is similar to our term queer. It was impossible to be accepted by pakehas, aka European settlers, who see them as sinful, uncivilized barbarians. This leads us to our next topic, colonization. Maori's first impactful encounter with Pakehas was in 1780. James Cook thought that he found the great southern continent, which back then is believed to exist. That was the beginning of relations including trade, especially potato and muskets, which have surprisingly dramatic effects as trade goods, since they led to internal wars between tribes that have muskets to fight and potatoes to eat, and tribes that do not. By 1830, thanks to disease and muskets that come with Pakehas, Maori population dropped by 30%, and Pakehas know how to benefit from it. And I present you New Zealand Company by pedophile Edward Gibbon Wakefield. Their work plan was buying them cheaply from natives and selling it to colonizers with profits. When they make themselves pretty comfortable by invading native lands, Maoris have headed up there and broke new ground by making a coalition for the first time in the history of tribes and declaring independence. United Tribes of New Zealand. Eventually, England decided to take the case in order to make colonization more disciplined. They wanted to make a deal with Maoris. However, the Aborigines Protection Society, God bless their soul, pulled the wires and said the deal has to be fair. Maoris should not be forced or tricked into a deal that is harmful to them. And that being us to the Treaty of Waitangi, basically a treaty between the Crown and some of the Maori chiefs. It consists of three main articles. The first article says that it grants governance rights to the Crown. Second says Maoris will stay as chiefs of their property. Thirdly, Maori people will have full rights as British subjects. That sounds right, don't you think? However, this is where the sketchy part began. Treaty of Waitangi is the most discussed and even I dare to say cursed treaty in the history of Aotearoa. Why? Because the version I told you about was the Te Reo Maori version. The treaty was bilingual in order to make it understandable for both sides, but it would be more accurate to say that there was two treaty that advocates two different proposals. While the English version gives all rights and powers of sovereignty to the Crown, the Maori version did not. And that exact meaning was lost in translation. Or is it? The translator of the treaty, the missionary Henry Williams, who will be benefited from the treaty as a landowner himself, translated the text in only one night in an extreme rush. The decision is yours to make. Was it a mistake or was it intentional? Then, a treaty with tricky and ambiguous articles. A treaty that was not signed by Salt Islanders, which settlers did not even deign to ask, since they find Salt Islanders more uncivilized. A treaty that claims Hi'iwi Tahitatao, we are now one people, ended up being the reason of suffering for Maori people for AIDS and caused New Zealand wars and Maori land cards. Thank you for listening.